Hello and welcome to 3-3. Today we're going to really hone in on how to add and subtract decimals. I thought this was a cute little saying. I'm all about cute little sayings. It says, Rule 1, line them up. We're talking about the decimals. Let's say I wanted to do 7 and 5/10 plus 6 and 8/10, let's say. So rule 1 is I need to line them up, those decimals, drop down the decimal. That's kind of second rule, drop it down to our answer. Fill them in. So fill them in is kind of where they want you to write your 7 and 5/10. But that, we already did all that. So I think we can cross that one off. And then just add or subtract like normal. 5 plus 8 is 13. 7 and 6 is 13 as well, plus 1 more is 14. So, I mean, we're just adding like normal. We just have to make sure we bring the decimals straight down, and we're lining up our decimals. Okay, so let's just do some practice problems. What was Carly Patterson's preliminary score in the 2004 U.S. Champions? That means we have to add these numbers together. 9 and 7/10. Remember, we're lining them up. 9 and 7/10. 9 and 3/10. Oh, she did really good. 9 and 45/100. Now, if it makes you feel better, you could go back in and write your zeros in, have place value, or you could remember that if there's nothing there, there's a 0 holding it. So I'm just going to bring down my 5 because I'm doing 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5 equals 5. Then I have to do 7 and 7 is 14. 15, 16, 17. 17 plus 4 is 21. Bring down my decimal. Then I have 4 9s, which is 36, plus 2 more is 38. So what is her preliminary score? 38 and 15/100. All right, then the second question says, how many more points did Patterson need on the uneven bars to have a perfect score of 10? So I'm going to look at my uneven bars here. She scored a 9 and 45/100. So if I have a perfect 10 minus 9 and 45/100. So if you can remember back, I kind of taught you a trick. This is -1, -1. So I would have 9 and 99/100. And minus 9 and 44/100. And then I can just subtract it. 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 minus 4 is 5. Bring down my decimal. 9 minus 9 is 0. So she's 55/100 away from getting a perfect 10. If that is not a method you'd prefer to choose, you could ungroup, 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 4 is 5. Bring down my decimal. 9 minus 9 is 0. So they both get us the same answer. They're just kind of a little bit different, depending on if you want to ungroup, or just subtract one from each side or each number. Both will get you there to the answer. So let's go do some more practice problems. Find each sum or difference. Okay. 1 and 6/10. Line them up. 0 and 4/10. Bring it down. Bring down that decimal. And I'm adding. Now that's huge, you guys. When they're going to put adding and subtracting in the same realm, you need to make sure you're paying attention. Am I adding or am I subtracting? I don't know how many times I've gone to grade a test, and it's just because somebody accidentally added instead of subtracting, or subtracted instead of adding. And so they could have gotten the answer right, but they weren't quite paying attention. So let's make sure we're really paying close attention here. 6 plus 4 is 10. So look at, we're even going to group the same. 1 plus 1 is 2. So our answer is 2. Now I could write my answer as just like a regular 2. Because 2 and 0/10 is just nothing. So it's just basically, it is 2. So let's do here 3 minus 8/10. Now I'm going to put in my decimal that I know is there in my 0. And then I can subtract 0 minus 8. Ooh, no I can't. I better ungroup the 3. So I'd get a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. Bring down that decimal. 2 minus 0 is 2. So my answer is 2 and 2/10. All right, I have one more page for us to go through. Now this is where kids get a little confused. And I'm sure I'll get a million questions on this tomorrow on how to do this, and that's okay. So here's our problem. 7 and 52 hundredths minus s, for s equals 2 and 9/10. So I have my problem, 7 and 52 hundredths minus s, and then instead of s, I'm going to put in my 2 and 9/10. Okay, I don't know how to solve it this way. I like doing it up and down. 7 and 52 hundredths minus 2 and 9/10. We'll put our honorary 0 in here and just hold its place. 2 minus 0 is 2. 5 minus 9, can't do it. 15 minus 9 is 6. Bring down that decimal. 6 minus 2 is 4. So our answer then would be 4 and 62 hundredths. Now I hope you notice I wrote my original equation. I wrote my original expression. Then I plugged in 2 and 9/10 for s, and then I wrote my answer all right in a line. And if I have some scratch work to do, I kind of do it off to the side. So I'd like you to format your work that way, please. So let's try it again. Now again, I write down my equation, 7 and 52 hundredths minus s. Now this time s is going to be 4 and 5,367 10,000ths. I bring down my minus and my 7 and 52 hundredths. Now it would appear that this would be the 4 and 5,367 10,000ths would be a bigger number. But let's practice. Let's go through and write it out. 52 hundredths minus 4. Well, we already know it's 7 minus 4. So it seems like it's bigger because it's got many more numbers, but it's not. Let's plug in our honorary zeros and subtract. So I have to go over my 2 and group it. Ungroup that. 10 minus 7 is 3. 9 minus 6 is 3. Ungroup my 5 and make an 11. 11 minus 3 is 8. 4 minus 5, can't do it. Oh, so much grouping here, you guys. 14 minus 5 is 9. Bring down my decimal. 6 minus 4 is 2. I mean, it's just subtracting like you always have done it. It's just there's that pesky decimal, and we just line them up, bring it down, good to go. So then I would say s equals, or we're not even solving for s, we're just simplifying, 2 and 9,833 10,000ths. All right, and that is all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.